Hey everybody, welcome to the first episode of a series I have entitled Bohemian News. And it's exactly what it sounds like. I will be discussing local news here in Central Europe. Most of the time it will be based in the Czech Republic, but on certain occasions I will branch out to other nations nearby, perhaps Germany, Poland, Slovakia, Austria, etc., if I feel that something in that region has some importance. I hope you enjoyed the episode. It took me a while to compile everything. I had hoped to do this episode last week, but due to tech problems I wasn't able to record anything or get it loaded. So I've got a lot to cover over the past couple of weeks. Enjoy. Thanks for watching. So let's get down to it. We start off first with a breaking article, actually, that the Czech Republic has decided to order Regeneron antibody drugs ahead of EU registration. Now, this is actually very interesting because one of the articles I was going to talk about happened a couple of weeks ago, in that the Czech Republic has been having a lot of trouble getting enough vaccinations. We are below the EU average for vaccinations per capita. And one of the things that the Prime Minister tried to do, or has been attempting to do, is get the Russian Sputnik 5 vaccine. But unfortunately, the European Union, their whatever their Ministry of Health or whatever, refuses to authorize EU nations to use the Sputnik 5. So the Russian vaccine exists, no one in the EU can use it. So here's what we're stuck doing. We're now ordering Regeneron, which, I mean, hey, it's better than nothing. It's not the vaccine, but what can you do? So let's take a look real quick. So the Czech Republic has ordered 12,000 doses of an antibody treatment made by Regeneron ahead of its registration by European authorities, and will start receiving it in March. 12,000, that's really not much. The country's got over 10 million people, so whatever. So Czech authorities are close to clearing emergency use of Regeneron's cocktail of whatever, which was authorized for emergency use in the United States in November and was given to U.S. President Donald Trump during his COVID-19 infection. Yeah, became famous for that. So they've ordered 12,000 doses. 4,000 will come in March, 4,000 in April, and 4,000 in May. Great. I mean, it's better than nothing, I suppose. The treatment is aimed at patients with mild to moderate disease who are at risk of their condition worsening. Due to the fact that they haven't been able to get enough vaccines and the COVID-19 virus is still spreading quite rapidly here, the Czech government decided to continue the state of emergency. Now, a couple of weeks ago, actually pretty much all through early February, everyone was pretty excited. The talk of the town was that the government might end the state of emergency on Valentine's Day and things could slowly begin to transition back to normal. Regular shops would be able to open up. Restaurants would be able to open up under limited capacity. And everyone was really excited about this. It didn't happen. On February 14th, they had their final vote. The lower house of the parliament tried to get the state of emergency removed, but it didn't happen. The parliament decided to continue the state of emergency. So, yeah, we still have no restaurants open unless you are doing like carry out or like Uber Eats. Restaurants are closed. Most shops are closed if it's not, quote, essential. So you can still get your cigarettes and your alcohol, but if you need a new winter coat, tough shit. You better call Amazon, buddy. Essentials. Yeah. So it's been really frustrating. It's terrible. Lots of small businesses are in trouble. I know a lot of restaurants have had to permanently close. Two major clothing retailers have gone bankrupt here in the Czech Republic. Things are getting pretty grim right now. And this heavy-handed iron fist from the government just isn't helping. It's not making anyone feel any better about the situation. And what do I mean by heavy-handed? Well, take a look at this. The government has reached an agreement on a new pandemic law. So not only have they declared a state of emergency, and it's been on since October, but now they've created a new law for the pandemic. Let's take a look. So, the government has reached an agreement on a new pandemic law. The Minister of Health now has the power to order lockdown measures without the state of emergency. Oh, with the exception of restricting freedom of movement. Well, listen, jackass, if your shops are closed and almost everything is closed, that in effect restricts your freedom of movement. The only places you can go to is your grocery store and your pharmacy, and then take your happy ass back home. Oh, yeah, that's restricting freedom of movement. Also, considering the borders are closed with most countries, that is limiting and restricting your freedom of movement. Oh, yeah, genius. I mean, what do I know? I'm just some dude on the internet. What the hell do I know, right? So, they say here, it's a step to end a political crisis that started last week after the lower house refused the minority government's request to extend the state of emergency, a powerful tool that gives the cabinet the extra powers needed to impose nationwide restrictions and limit people's rights. Oh, and now you've given that same power to one man, the Minister of Health. Where have I heard this story before? It sounds really vaguely familiar. One man shows up, state of emergency is declared, and he's given power to declare whatever the hell he wants. Why does it sound so familiar? It's somewhere in Europe. I can't quite place it. It was somewhere in Europe. This happened before. I don't. Let me know in the comments if you know what I'm talking about. So, in defiance of the lower house of the parliament attempting to end the state of emergency, the government redeclared the state of emergency at the request of the leaders of all 14 Czech regions, who said they do not have enough powers to fight the pandemic. Well, no shit you don't. No one does. It's a virus. You cannot fight it. It's already endemic. It's here to stay. There's nothing you can do about it unless it burns itself out. The only thing you can do is prolong the inevitable. You're gonna get it. One day, it might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, it might not even be this year, but guess what, buddy? You're gonna get COVID. Tough shit. I do find it kind of strange, though, that the leaders of 14 Czech regions, so what, 14 people got to decide over the parliament what happens in the Czech government. It sounds more like an oligarchy than a republic, where 14 people hold the power over the rest of them. It sounds a bit strange. Heavy-handed? Mayhaps. The Minister of Health praises the new law. Yeah, no shit, he praises it. He's got all the power. He has more power than the president or not vice president, but the prime minister. The prime minister cannot declare a state of emergency. It has to be enacted through parliament. The Minister of Health now has that power. Oh, I consider this solution essential for an effective fight against the current pandemic, said Blatny. Blatny is the frickin' Minister of Health. He's an idiot. So of course he's happy about it. I've got all the power. Jackass. Starting on Monday, and this is this coming Monday, February 22nd, FFP2 respirators will be mandatory in public transport. Let's take a look. On Monday, the Ministry of Health will order the wearing of FFP2 respirators, nano-filtered face masks, or 2 surgical face masks so you can look like a horse with a feed bag while in public transport or other public places, said the Minister of Health, Jan Blatny. This guy again. This guy's a god. Ooh. Homemade face masks or scarves will no longer be acceptable. Well, here's my question then. I would love to meet Jan Blatny and ask him this. If the virus is so dangerous and it's just murdering people by the tens of thousands and we're stacking dead bodies in the morgues like cordwood, why were these homemade face masks and scarves acceptable to begin with? Why didn't we make these particular magical FFP2 respirators the gold standard and say, no, this is the only thing you can use. Anything else will not be acceptable and you will be arrested? Why? Because I sure as hell can't think of a good answer. Unless, maybe, I mean, just maybe, I'm no conspiracy theorist. I'm not, no, don't call me a conspiracy theorist. I'm just saying, maybe, we're not stacking dead bodies like cordwood in the morgue. But hey, you know, what ifs, bro? Let's keep going. So FFP2 masks, also known as respirators, have higher filtering capabilities than surgical masks, and since the start of the coronavirus pandemic, they have been mostly set aside for frontline health workers most exposed to aerosols or tiny airborne particles of the virus. So doctors get the good stuff. You, good luck, regular citizen. Thanks a lot. So here's where we get to the good part, where the author kind of just acts like an ass. Everyday masks or fabric masks. So, fabric masks usually have no filtering effect. They are less safe than surgical masks, but can still help prevent the spread of viruses. The more layers the fabric masks are made of, the safer they are, children. Hang on. Time out. Fabric masks usually have no filtering effect. Well, if they're not filtering the airborne particles, then how are they preventing the spread of viruses? Seems a little bit contradictory. I mean, I'm no doctor. I'm just saying, it sounds a little bit contradictory. Let's keep going and look at more of this condescending writer's last paragraph here. The following applies to all masks. They do not offer 100% protection against viruses. Experts therefore warn against a false sense of security. It is not only the type of mask worn that is important, but also the behavior of the wearer. So remember, children, keep distance even if you're wearing a mask. Thanks, jackass. I'll be sure to remember that. Let's take a look at what else is going on. Shops and malls in the Czech Republic will not reopen on Monday. So once again, there were rumors going on that the government might limit the opening of certain shops and malls so people can, not lose their business, and basically lose their shirt, as we say. But nope, gotta keep it closed. All right. So, shops and shopping centers around the country will not reopen on February 22nd. The vast majority of them have been closed since October, with a brief exception in the run-up to Christmas, and are scrambling to stock up and prepare to meet the stated safety norms. Yeah, so they spent more money to stock up and prepare to meet the safety norms, and also to get stock to sell. If you're a restaurant, you had to buy food, beer, whatever. Oh, sorry. Psych! Fooled ya. You're not reopening. The pandemic situation is not good. The UK variant is still spreading. That's why we decided not to open closed shops for now, Jan Havlicek said, adding the government will debate shop openings again next week. Oh, sorry, not Jan Havlicek. His name is Karel Havlicek. I think he was the former Minister of Health, if I remember correctly. So, just a few days ago, Minister of Health Jan Blatny agreed to reopen stores on Monday, February 22nd. Oh, thank you, Jan. Thank you for not being a tyrant. But then he just pulled the rug right out from under everybody. He said, oh, I was just joking. Ha ha ha. I fooled you. Let's keep going. Let's look at the last part of this article is the best part, the statistics. So the health ministry recorded 11,500 new COVID-19 infections on Thursday, a jump of around 2,500 from a week ago. The official death toll from COVID-19 has reached 18,900, a rise of 174, which includes deaths from Thursday, blah, 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 blah. The country, with a population of 10.7 million, has had one of the highest cumulative per capita death rates in Europe. In total, 1.135 million infections have been recorded since March. Pay attention to these numbers. It's going to get real spicy in just a minute. So current hospitalizations rose to 6,343, more than double the government's target level. The ministry reported 519,000 vaccine shots have been administered. So we got 500,000 vaccines in a country of 10.7 million. Could be better. Could be worse. Like I said, we're still below European average. Take a look at this last sentence. I love how they waited to the very last sentence to put this here. As of Friday morning, 14% of intensive care and high dependence beds were available across the country. 14%. Wow. Well, that's not bad at all. If you have 14% of intensive care beds, what about the rest of the beds? Are there even more? Well, that would be great. Wow. Because I keep hearing that, oh my God, all the hospitals are full. They're stacking people up in the hallways. Oh my God. Apparently not. This is saying the exact opposite. 14% are open and available. Why? Because no one's going to the hospital for their routine stuff. Cancer screenings, heart problems, all this kind of stuff. No one's going to the hospital because they're so deathly terrified of getting COVID and being stuck in the hospital for like 3 weeks and dying there. So no one's going. Now, why is this important? Why is this important? Who cares if there's all these beds available? That's a good thing, right? Well, more contradiction. COVID patients may be sent to gyms to free up hospital capacity. Hang on. Wait a minute. This just said there's capacity. 14% of the beds are available across the country. Not in one hospital, not in one city, across the country. Huh. Well, that doesn't make sense. Well, let's take a look. Look at this wonderful field hospital. Empty. Yes, but it's such a terrible pandemic. So let's read this. Patients with a mild course of COVID-19 could be placed in gyms in case hospitals are nearing their capacity limit. How about you just send them home? Or if you have mild symptoms, jackass, stay home in the first place. Just take some over-the-counter medicine. It might take you a little bit longer to feel better, but according to a few of my family members who do work in hospitals, you'll be just fine.
Should the spread of the infection get worse, the government may also order specialists in outpatient clinics and medical students to help out in hospitals. Medical students, that'd be a good experience for them. I've been wondering, why not just have like military docs help out too? I mean, they're already getting paid by the government. May as well just get them out there. Shoot, half the time they're not doing anything anyways. So let's take a look. Let's keep going. In several regions, hospitals that are full have been transferring patients to a decreasing number of less strained facilities. The government said earlier this week it might ask neighboring Germany to take in patients if the situation worsens further, despite earlier rejecting calls from the most pressured bordered regions to do so. Yeah. See, right now, the worst cases, where there are the most amount of cases, are all in the northwest of the Czech Republic, near the German border. I wonder why. Maybe people from Germany took vacations to go skiing in northern Czech Republic and spread it. I don't know. But it does seem strange that it's that region where it's the worst right now. We already have selected several gyms and one dormitory where we can place those patients if necessary, said Prague Mayor Zdeněk Hřib. At the end of October, when the Czech army built the Letňany hospital, there were around 7,000 COVID patients hospitalized, while at the beginning of November, there were over 8,000. Once again, we have this sentence. As of Friday, 14% of intensive care and high dependence beds were available across the country. The number of those hospitalized in serious condition has reached 1,258. Wow. Now, it's funny. They mentioned this Czech army hospital that they built in this region called Letňany. It's an area in Prague. The military built the hospital. It's already closed. They've already taken it apart, disassembled it, dismantled it, whatever, packed it up. Why? If all the hospitals are so full, surely they would have been putting thousands of people in this military hospital. Right? No. They packed it up within about 2 months after building it. Almost sounds like there weren't that many people that needed to be put in the military hospital. That's strange. Kind of like last year in 2020 when the hospital ship docked in New York City, the U.S. hospital ship, I forget which one it was, docked in New York City, and it was rarely even used. Hundreds of beds available. Those ships are massive. Was never even put at full capacity and was sent back to its home port. But I mean, hey, the virus is so deadly. Now, let's talk about numbers. Let's talk about some numbers, because this is where things get really, really spicy. Okay? So we've been talking about all these people, serious conditions, people dying, etc., etc. Okay, so we need to talk about that. And the number of patients, all this stuff. All right? So, take a look at this article. Now, granted, this article was written last year, May 28th of 2020, so it's 11 months old. But just look at the headline, and that should say everything you need to know. 60% of Czech COVID-19 patients died of other health issues, says an expert. 60%. 60. Let's take a look. Who's this expert? Is he an expert? Let's find out. Who is this expert? How dare they suggest something like that? Well, 60% of people whose deaths are in Czech coronavirus statistics did not die primarily of COVID-19, according to the Institute of Health Information and Statistics Director Ladislav Dušek. So, not some podunk witch doctor shaman in the middle of nowhere. No, this is one of the top doctors in the country. So Dušek talked about his findings at a professional conference called What We Know and Do Not Know About COVID-19, organized by Charles University in Prague. His data points out that most of the deceased coronavirus patients suffered from other chronic diseases, which include heart disease, respiratory system issues, and diabetes. Wow, things that literally kill hundreds of thousands of people in the United States and Europe every single year. Oh. Yeah. Huh. Well, that's strange. As a matter of fact, if I remember correctly, heart disease is the #1 killer in the United States. But hey, I'm just holding to the science. Don't call me some kind of conspiracy theorist. I'm just going by the science, bro. So, the data comes at a time when many at the international level are questioning how many are truly dying from coronavirus and how many are dying from underlying diseases. The question is especially important in regard to determining when lockdowns in many countries should end. Yes, indeed. Among the 317 people who died with coronavirus in the Czech Republic, remember this is a year old, there were 185 men and 132 women. 1/3 of all deaths were among people over 85 years of age, and another more than 1/3 of deaths in the 75 to 84 age group. So literally over 2/3, meaning over 66%. So let's just nice and round it up to a pretty number. 70% of all deaths are 75 or older. Interesting. Let's keep going. Almost a quarter of coronavirus patients who died were 65 to 70. Wait a minute. So a quarter plus over 2/3, we're looking at, rounded up, 95% of all deaths were 65 or older. Only 29 deaths occurred among people under the age of 64. And only one person was under 34. Let's see. The Institute processed data on deceased coronavirus patients focusing on age and chronic diseases. Among people over the age of 60, more than 70% had cardiovascular diseases such as high blood pressure, while in the age group of people older than 80, it was over 80%. About 1/3 of deceased coronavirus patients between the ages of 60 and 89 had diabetes, and 1/4 of them suffered from digestive system diseases. In the case of victims over 90, 37% of them had digestive problems. In the group of people under the age of 60, about 16% had heart disease, and the same share of people had digestive disease, with another 10% suffering from diabetes. However, Dušek pointed out that there were only a few cancer patients who died with coronavirus. Yeah, that was early on. That number has actually gone up. More and more cancer patients are dying as these diseases, it's not a disease, it is a virus, as it is spreading. More cancer patients are dying here in the Czech Republic. Currently, about 60 to 70% of all patients with COVID-19 have more than one chronic disease, added Dušek. Take a look at that really carefully. About 60 to 70% of all patients, not deaths, but all patients have more than one chronic disease. Meaning, it sounds like not only are you more likely to die if you have a chronic disease, but you're more likely to get it if you have a chronic disease. That, or maybe everyone in the Czech Republic has some chronic disease. Which, hey, it could be. The diet over here is not terribly healthy. So, funny. 60 to 70% of all patients have a chronic disease, but they're not all dying. Strange. Almost like the virus isn't that terribly deadly. Although since the beginning of the epidemic, age has been considered as one of the main risk factors, currently experts think that those with chronic diseases are at a much higher risk of fatality than using the factor of age alone. Well, yes, of course, but you have to factor in the factor in the truth that the older you get, the more likely you are to get some chronic disease. Therefore, the older you are, the more likely you are to have a chronic disease, the more likely you are to die from COVID. Strange. This sounds really familiar to me. I've heard this story before. What was that? I can't remember that word. Oh man. Maybe you can help me out in the comments. What's that word? Is it some other virus that does the same thing? The vast majority of the people it kills are older and have some other chronic disease. I can't think of the name off the top of my head for some reason. I don't know. It's almost like if I were to say it or suggest it, I would get kicked off of YouTube. Oh. Strange. Now, one last thing to take a look at that I think is the most important. I saved the best for last. Because now, with this information in our pocket, 60% of Czech deaths had other health issues. They died of other health issues. 60%. Let's take a look. So right here, I am at the official COVID-19 death count, thanks to Google. All right. I'm looking at the numbers here for the Czech Republic. Yeah, it's now for some stupid reason called Czechia. I don't know. Apparently the old word for it is Czechia, but whatevs. I don't care. Czechia is the Czech Republic. So here we have the numbers. Total cases, 1.13 million people have had corona. 1 million have recovered. Man, that sounds great. And as we already saw earlier, the country has 10.7 million people. So we're looking at just shy of 1%, or sorry, just shy of 10% of the total population of the country have had COVID and have recovered. Oh, that's great. Let's hurry up and get those numbers up. Got to work on those numbers, bro. And as we can see here, the official number of deaths are 18,913. Well, let's do a little bit of math, shall we? Oh boy, cue the math meme, right? If 60% of the deaths, if that number holds true, that 60% of deaths are not from COVID. I did the math already. 60% of 18,913 is 11,348. Or technically 11,347.8, which I simply rounded up to 11,348. Giving us actual COVID deaths of 7,565. Oh. Well, now let's do the math again. 1.13 million are the total registered known cases. I guarantee you the actual number is higher than that. And only 7,500 people have died. Let's do some math. Yeah, that's less than 1% mortality rate, jackass. I'm not spreading any conspiracies. I'm simply looking at the numbers. I'm doing the math. If 60% of all deaths in the Czech Republic are related to other health problems and chronic diseases such as heart problems, blood pressure, respiratory problems, diabetes, etc., then the total number of deaths in the Czech Republic is below 1%. All these lockdowns, all these restrictions, the heavy-handedness of the government is for nothing. Now, I'm not saying this is some hoax. I'm pretty sure that COVID-19 does exist. I'm simply doing some numbers that suggest maybe it's not as terrible as we think. Maybe it's not as deadly as we've been told. Interesting. Maybe, just maybe,
It's all bullshit. All of it.
Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, share, and subscribe it. Definitely share it, because if this is true here in the Czech Republic, it's got to be true elsewhere. It's got to be true elsewhere. Doesn't matter if you're in Europe, North America. I did the math. All I did was do basic mathematics, and I've proven by health experts. This isn't me. This is health experts saying this, okay? So, don't ban me, bro. Seems like we're being sold a false bill of goods. Anyways, if you like this video, go ahead, like, share, and subscribe it. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it's been educational and informative. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, I remain the Neo-Bohemian.